All right, let me just start the Facebook and the Telegram, and we'll be live.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, I think we are live. So let us begin. This is episode 44 of Campaign for America, and we're going to be talking today about the fair deal. So, with that being said,
the views expressed on this show are expressly the views of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views, beliefs, or opinions of newsforus.world, its hosts, broadcasters, or affiliates. Remember, folks, always use your own discernment when viewing. We encourage our viewers to think for themselves.
all right, everybody, welcome. We are going to be talking today with Dennis about the fair deal. So, with that being said, let me bring up our
In 1980, Ronald Reagan wore a white suit, a red tie, and a white shirt and addressed the nation. Hi, I am Dennis Andrew Ball, and I am running for President of the United States. I am talking to you right now because the debates that were conducted this week need to have a presidential response. The economic issues that both Barack Obama and Mitt Romney answered created in the minds of many of us unanswered questions of how do you sustain economic growth in the United States of America. In light of the decisions and the events that have happened since 2008, what do we need to do to reduce the deficit, increase job creation, maintain Social Security and Medicare, and provide the opportunity for our children and future generations not only to survive, but to thrive in a global economy. I would like to talk to you quickly on how I perceive what needs to happen. The United States of America at this time is suffering because the means of production have not equaled the ends of production that it requires in order to sustain its middle class. The United States of America must reindustrialize itself to make it possible that 23 million Americans can go back to work in industries that are productive for themselves and their families. What we are witnessing on a daily basis is the demise of the American family, the traditional American family, of children, parents, and grandparents. by people in authority who have used, abused, and misused their positions to hurt our people. This must stop, and it will under my administration. The need at this moment of time is to get our organs of power in business to invest in research and development, to make it possible for industry to not only survive in America, but also to thrive. My attitude is that the production capability of the United States is equal to none. Our workers are very productive if given the opportunity, but they must be protected by government that concerns themselves with their best interests. And that has been a problem for many years in this country. My attitude also is that in order for our people to get themselves in a position to care for themselves and their children, we have to evaluate at this moment in time what is important for that to happen. And I believe that it will be more of a decision on the part of the American people when they go to the voting booth to decide who they think is best qualified to do that job. I believe also that we are in a position to make decisions that will impact the course of history and to bring about positive change in the lives of our family structure. I want to say that in order to do that, the means of production will have to be a top priority to reindustrialize the middle class and to provide the support for the future generations. I want to say this, that in terms of how we go about this business, the President of the United States should be very aware of what has happened and what needs to happen. My interest at this time is to educate through my administration of candidacy for presidency to make it possible for you to learn more about me and to decide if you are better off since the election of Barack Obama and the changes that need to happen in terms of the increase in gas prices, in food prices, the mortgage forfeitures that have happened since him, and also what we will do in the future to make it possible for more people to be employed out of 23 million who are not. Consider this opportunity to communicate to your friends and your neighbors my thoughts, and I look forward to hearing from you. I need presidential electors who will vote for me through the Electoral College when I win the states in this country to become your next president. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, go ahead, Dennis. Do some housekeeping for our viewers. Unmute yourself. You're muted, buddy.
All right. Thank you for the introduction here. Folks, please feel free to call in 702-482-8620 on the live call-in line. And I wanted to say we had some callers last week. I assume we are going to have either technical issues or being able to have rapid, maybe a caller bank or something like that as the people are responding. Do you know anything about that?
We shouldn't have any issues. We're good to go. We just don't have any calls coming in yet. So as soon as people start calling in, we can take their calls, and then we'll keep it to probably
Okay, so
2 minutes, and then give them an opportunity to chime in. Yeah.
Okay, so they can be put on hold while we're dealing with whoever is on there. That was a concern somebody showed me last time, and that was something I gave.
It shouldn't have done that. Normally, it's supposed to. It plays a notification letting me know that somebody else is trying to call in while I'm on the line with somebody else. So
Okay,
There's either
that's
an
good.
issue with Google or something else, but it usually it's not supposed to function like that. So
Okay, very good. Okay, tomorrow, we're going to have a meeting at the Central Library in Ocala, Florida. I'm at one of the Starlight offices right now here in Bellevue, Florida. And so we will be doing a Facebook Live on that as well. And then, of course, members who are committed to the party will attend. And so it'll be a good thing. And this will be a Facebook Live. We're also invited the media to be there as well. I want to say this, Stephen, that we're going now into the media mode. The media mode in terms of the newspaper, radio, the TV. I spent 3 months here fielding the executive airports, the major airports for hangar space because of the weather conditions here to do outdoor events. Didn't get very far with that. But we are moving forward now with, we'll be in Tallahassee at some point in time here at the Capitol Rotunda. It's a very nice building. That's how I got my start, going to the Capitals and putting on events with the media invited. That's how come I've been able to do this. Everybody wants to know, how did I do this? Well, I did this by taking a chance. Sometimes you need to take chances in life to get what you want out of it. So that's what I felt was necessary. Also, space museums, airplane museums. Florida has lots of them. And I'm now talking to them as well about scheduling events, and you'll hear more about that. So in Tallahassee, which is the capital of Florida, I'm busy right there with an airport, possibly an airport event. I have a contact there. We will see. This is football season, and so people fly in and out of Florida during this period. And then, of course, the hangars and the hangar space and all of that that's involved gets real complicated with a lot of people who own these hangars. And also in terms of the major airports, Orlando International is quite interesting. They have an airport row of hangars. I mean, these are huge hangars. These are like for the commercial jets, United, National, NHL, which is a cargo type operation. These are huge hangars for their maintenance people, jet engines, maintenance, all of that stuff. But as my experience so far has led me, we are making history. Now, the other issue is what's going on overseas in Israel. The Israelis were attacked mercilessly, and they have responded in kind. I was scheduled to go to New York on the 25th, which would be next Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the following on the 25th. I have had to cancel that flight and that trip because of all the unrest in New York at this time. New York is the second largest Jewish population of 2 million Jews. There is also a big Muslim contingent of people, Palestinians. They all are after each other's throats. I can't afford to get engulfed in all that. And much of their protests are by the United Nations building on the East River. So I've had to postpone this trip until things slow down and settle down so that it's safe, and including LaGuardia Airport and JFK. Those two airports attract violence. I'm not interested in that. These terrorists are threatening everybody here in the United States. I think, it's the government's responsibility to take responsibility. Now, they may not take responsibility, so it's the responsibility of the citizenry to protect ourselves.
Yes, agreed. When
That's
the
why we have
government
the
won't take
Second Amendment.
responsibility and accountability, it falls on us as citizens to do so.
Exactly. And so I'm a big Second Amendment person who believes that in cases like this, we must take responsibility and protect ourselves and do what we need to do to protect ourselves and our families. And that's very important to me. I hope it is for you. So the Campaign for America continues to roll on. If you notice, today is the 44th episode, Stephen, of a program that was created over a year and a half ago from Jefferson City in Missouri, when we had the opportunity to connect through the event there. I guess it was a family forward movement event. And that was good. And then, of course, all the other things that have continued to unfold. Also, folks, our graphics are really good. We're looking to get billboards out on the streets with donors. I played the lottery. The Powerball was 1.7 billion. Didn't win any of it, but somebody did in California. So it says that maybe some of these people who see our campaign will be motivated to want to contribute and donate. This will take money. Politics and money really go hand in glove. The good news is we have the right message, the right information, the right attitude about the content of our politics. And for that, I believe we are blessed. I know I am. And it keeps me in the game. And tomorrow will be a Facebook Live event there in Ocala, Bellevue right now, but in Ocala. And then from there, we continue down this path of doing what we have to do for the next one, the next event. So with that, I want to introduce today's show. We've covered ball care some. Ball care is the healthcare program that people can support. And that's, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Very important. There are deductibles. The doctor is in control. The government is the payer. That is important because right now people are getting slammed with the cost of health care. And as a consequence, they're having a struggle with all their other bills. That should not be. And also with regard to the creation of jobs, we are in a position through Ballonomics to create skilled labor education. That's important because skilled labor will produce a living wage. You cannot raise a family on minimum wage. Therefore, it is incumbent that the President of the United States bring all the parties together on an economic summit and listen to proposals. And if they have none, he is going to propose them himself, which I will. All in writing, and it is in their best interest to follow suit. Otherwise, there's going to be other problems they're going to have with me, because the American people require support when it comes to raising a family. Not the way it is now. The way it is now is no good. And you know it, and I know it. And as a result, there has to be a change of thinking and administration and policy. The President of the United States, in terms of correcting so many problems, really has to be on his game. And I really am. Because without leadership, the nation falls. And we cannot afford that. Too many lives have been lost. Too many lives have been given for our freedoms and the opportunity not only to survive, but thrive. So as it relates to what's going on overseas with Hamas and Israel, my suggestions are follow events, protect yourselves, and do the things that are necessary to advance our society from the me, my, and mine to the we, us, and our society it was intended to be. In 1871, America became a corporation after the Civil War because this nation was broke. However, they did their deal with the devil in England. And as a result, they've owned us ever since. That must change, and that will change in my administration. President Kennedy created Executive Order 11110, basically canceling out the Federal Reserve and putting Treasury in control of currency. I will affirm that, and it will happen. The other thing is the IRS is operating on the 16th Amendment, which I don't believe it has been ratified in order to collect income tax. I see nothing.
As far as I know, from everything I've seen, it's not been ratified. In fact, from my understanding, the IRS is a Puerto Rican trust. That's what I've been discussing.
I think I do. Today, I filed my 2022 taxes, both federal and state of Illinois. Because of the corruption in my life and in my family's life, I pay no tax. Praise God. Now that's because there was $1 million loss that was created by the guardianship in my mother's estate. As her beneficiary actually, I have been able to use that loss in my own tax structure. But my income is not what it should be. And had they left my family alone, my income and my own personal life would be much different. I am really a refugee and a victim of total government corruption on the state and federal level, as many of us are. And tomorrow I want to put on the stage the stories of people telling us what has happened to them, either their kids being stolen or their families, parents being obliterated through guardianship and nursing home abuse. My mother was murdered. I don't forget that, and I'm doing something about it. I've written a book called Tyranny from the Bench, Fighting and Surviving America's Judicial Nightmare. I talk about filing liens against parties who have harmed us for their behavior with evidence to support it, because if they find that they want to sue you and you have the evidence, you can countersue and you can win. That's important. Nobody talks about this. Also, if they fail to file a final tax return, you can file a form with the IRS for tax evasion. There will be an investigation. That's important too. Nobody talks about this. It's very important. I am a court official. I am prosecuting my own family's case. I am telling and showing others what they can do to help themselves despite all of the indifference coming from law enforcement. That is very important. And so I say to you, my fellow Americans, think first what our country has become, act and do what must be done, because it is dependent upon us, we the people, to get something done here.
I think you just coined a new phrase. Say that again one more time, the way you said it. That was brilliant.
Think first what our country has become, act and do what must be done.
Perfect. Thinking one more time for posterity, because I want this to stick with everybody. Go ahead.
Think first what our country has become, act and do what must be done.
Think first what our country has become, act and do
what must be done.
There you
It's
have
on
it.
it's on the order of, if you're not fighting for your family, who are you working for? That's a very important question. Someone, I believe it was Jessica Eubanks, has taken the new graphics and placed that as a question mark above some of the literature that Robert Bettinger created for the billboards. It's brilliant. We have some good people in this campaign, in spite of our need for more money to run it right and to make it very, very powerful. This is what George Washington and the Patriots had to deal with too. Don't forget.
They did. And let's not forget the enormous amount of attacks many of us in many of this movement are facing. Myself, you, I'm sure, as well as people, and leaders and community leaders and allies in the school board coverage that I'm doing. We've all faced attacks as well. Those of us that are actually fighting this fight
I saw some of your recent videos you have placed on my page, and I can appreciate your concerns and the way you vent them out there in the public interest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to show everybody hello, it's all connected. Let's connect the dots, people. These are not isolated incidents.
I love it. I just love it. This is why I'm here. I mean, this is absolutely why I'm here. I left law school because I saw where the bankers were targeting little old ladies for their money and property. I was 22 years old. I says, I cannot do this, and I will not do this for any woman, to hurt any woman in a law firm, first of all. And secondly, as a new lawyer, you do not open up an office with a shackle on your door, because you will not have any clients and you will starve. And there's no way you can continue to try to be an attorney without some form of financial remuneration, whether it's from the law firm or as you grow in your practice, people recognize your talents. But of course, we know too that some people go both ways on their talents, proceeding to create a problem and then providing the solution, so they say. But I've seen where that goes, and actually the people find themselves in a worse situation than they were when they started.
Yeah, no, in a lot of these cases, they end up in a worse situation when these corrupt courts and bad court actors take people's assets. I mean, they're basically driving them into debt and profiting from it in the process through the courts.
Exactly, and there are attorneys who know exactly what they're doing. I believe because of the number of lawyers out here, they have created this monster for the American people, outside of, say, personal injury law firms who focus on personal injury, like car accidents or other kinds of on-the-job accidents, disability accidents that cause people permanent harm, or death for that matter. Outside of those law firms, it becomes a really interesting game of whack-a-mole. And as a consequence, many people are harmed through their schemes. These lawyers scheme. Not all lawyers are bad, incidentally, but many of them are, because they're schemers and they want to use, abuse, and misuse us to profit at our expense.
If I may, I want to do my impression of Tervinen to put him on blast. Hey, the petition's been verified. It's been verified. It's nonsense. It's nonsensical. Sorry, I couldn't resist, but I had to, because that's one of them. That's one of those bad attorney actors, if you will.
Yeah, that's what this is. It's theater, and I concur with you on those things. And then there's just many examples of this as people go into the court system. That's why today's law practice, in many cases, it's actually better not to get a lawyer and start looking and researching the law on your own, and learn from others, document preparation, that kind of thing. And then when you're in the system, in the court system, read the record, go to the records of the court, look at those records, look at other people's records, learn by seeing, learn by doing. That's how I got to be where I am today. I am not a lawyer, but I am a court official appointed by a bankruptcy court in Arizona in 2005 when I fired Morgan Stanley for incompetence and gross negligence, which has never been settled. And my next step right now, after filing $1 million lien on them and 14 other defendants, is to file complaints with summons and have them appear before a judge with my lawyers. Praise God. That's where this is going. Yeah.
Much in the same way that you've got to where you're at, I've also, gotten to where I'm at just by researching, doing legal paperwork, legalese, everything I can do to fight back. And that's where a lot of my knowledge comes from. And I happen to be very, very skilled at it from what I've learned, because I apply the skills that I've learned. But we can all do this, folks. And I encourage what he said, that he's encouraging everyone to do, is start looking and learning the law. And we are coming up with some really, really helpful resources for people, which we will be launching soon through an app, as well as some aspects of other projects and websites we're doing. So we'll have, I'll keep people updated on that, but we're putting something together for people to be able to fight back and make it easy and streamlined for them as well.
Exactly. Now, today's show is on Bolonomics. Excuse me, not Bolonomics, on the Fair Deal. But Bolonomics is part of the Fair Deal, and also Volcare. The last two shows, I've kind of read the chapters in the books. Today's book I don't have in front of me, but I don't need to have it in front of me because I know the essence of the Fair Deal. My running mate, Richard Sanders, loves the Fair Deal book. He and I talk about the unconstitutional rigging of the tax on income, which there is nothing in the law, in the Constitution, and how the Federal Reserve Act, passed on Christmas Eve, 1913, has been so proven to be a fraud on the people, using debt to get interest, or creating debt to charge interest on money that they create as a basis for you to be stuck with their interest on a debt they create. That is totally unconstitutional. This government was at one time run by tariffs on products that came into the United States. If you wanted to sell your product here, you had to pay a tariff which funded the government. The fair tax and tariffs can fund this government. And as far as I am concerned, this government is way too big. It needs to be downsized, and the people who were in the government need to find a real job, and the real jobs have to come through Bolonomics, which means skilled labor. And you can go and you can research every state in this country that produces manufacturing. There's not that many as we had before, because since 2001, since 9/11, America has lost over 50,000 factories. Now, you don't recover as a nation until you have replaced those factories and those jobs. That does not mean.
I want to make a real quick, because I want people to understand that this is not a left or right versus issue. What he's talking about, what happened, who was in office in 2001 when all what he's talking about happened? It was the globalist Bushes, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's bad actors that are globalists on both sides of the aisle that are corrupt as all hell, and they're covering up their corruption. And when it's getting exposed, what do? They use misdirection, wars, distractions to keep us occupied so their corruption does not come to light. That's what's going on here, folks. And I think it's very important we all be mindful of that, because this is not a left versus right issue. This is a we the people issue.
For sure. And as a result, we suffer because it is impossible to raise a family on minimum wage. And I'm the only one I know out here talking it this way on a regular basis. I don't understand that, because it's not rocket science, and I'm not that smart when it comes to all the schemes that they have created for the American people to try to jungle through. And there are many. But the situation is,
You know,
the situation is,
simple, stupid. Yeah, we all need to live by that more. Keep it simple, stupid.
right. The situation is that our children, if this is not changed, will suffer. I mean, totalitarian nations like the former Soviet Union provided them a place to live, provided them with a quota for their monthly budget, but they gave their work ethic, they gave their labor, their energy to the state. And eventually it all collapsed because a socialist nation can, in order to survive, has to borrow from people or companies or entities. And when the money is gone, everything falls apart. It's like a huge Ponzi scheme. And that's what's unfortunate too in our society, that children believe this because they're taught this in the school system. Free enterprise is what built America. Free enterprise is what is necessary. I've written a book about it called Hipster Capitalism, Free Enterprise Capitalism to the Millennial Generation. And I talk about President Kennedy's executive order.
And this is also why competition is important too, folks. When you have one organization or entity controlling all the flow of information, and this ties into the what we have going on with social media today and the corruption there and by the government and like Facebook and Twitter. It's another example of why competition and not having monopolies are so important, because you stimulate back and forth, each party trying to outdo the other, thereby increasing the diversity of your economics.
We are in a crisis because economically our country has declined to the point where we have homeless people on the streets, drugged out. They have very poor lives, and there's reasons for why this has happened, not only in terms of the economics, but of the culture, the family. That has to change. We, the people, have to change it. It's our responsibility as citizens, and to those who have given all in those graves at the military cemeteries, to see that our nation and our children are supported so they have a chance not only to survive, but to thrive. And we need to talk this. That's what I'm going to be dealing with tomorrow for our membership drive, and keep it moving. And keep the billboards coming. The billboards are important. We need money to do that. I pray every day for it. I know it will come. Praise God.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Yeah, but no, you're right though. Like, you have a sound plan. You're getting to the root of the economics of what the problem is in the first place, and you're absolutely right. It is the debt system, this monetary debt slave system that we're currently entrapped in with this. And a lot of people don't even know this, but this has been done by design, folks, over generations. And, you have a disconnect between certain generations. And he's right, though. This is, if you go back far enough and you look at what's actually there, evidence-wise, and a lot of this is public domain. They're not even hiding it, folks. You just have to go look this stuff up. You'll see that this is, in fact, the case.
I sent a copy of the Fair Deal to David Schweikert of Arizona. He is a U.S. congressman from the 6th District. He has an office in Scottsdale. He also has an office in D.C. I sent the book to his Scottsdale office because it seems like he spends a lot of time there, and that's good. He's with his constituents, and I know him. I've met him, and I've spoken to him at his office years ago when I was dealing with the family corruption in the probate courts. Not only my own, but others. And had the opportunity to talk to him. He is the only congressman that I know is concerned about the national debt. He did a symposium in Congress about it. He brought out graphs and signs and graphs and pictures, and he showed where we are. He says, this debt will eat us up, and it will, because the interest on the debt is so great, it will outspend the national product, the GDP. And we will and are becoming slaves to the state, whether we wish to know it or not. The money is to support the debt are causing this economy to crash. And it will come to a point, if it is not changed, that everything will be worthless. We will be in bankruptcy as a nation. And it'll be 1929 all over, created by the Federal Reserve. That's a fact. And I talk about this in the Fair Deal. I wish everyone could get a copy of this. It's on Amazon.com. It would help everybody understand what is really going on. My solution is the Ball Act. Ball Act will affirm President Kennedy's executive order, which has never been rescinded, never canceled. It has been ignored by every president since him.
And folks, if you want to get a copy of his book, The Fair Deal, you can do so by going to the sources featured in this live section in the description, and we have a link to his bookstore, as well as to the conversation with the nation video that was featured in the intro. So you can go there. Also check it out on Amazon as well. So that's where you can go and get a copy yourselves, folks, in case you're in.
It would be well worth your time, folks, to do this for yourself and your family. We need a change here to restore fiscal and economic accountability, cancel this national debt. We did not create it. It was created for us without our permission. It was a scheme that was created at Jekyll Island, Georgia, at a resort where all these globalist bankers met, figuring out how to swindle the United States. That's my take on this, and I stand by it. It's no good. We cannot progress with this kind of debt that these people, including Barack Obama, created, spent out, and many of the other presidents. This has got to stop. It's only going to stop when the American people say, you know what? We've been swindled. This is not our debt. It belongs to them. That's their debt. We proceed under the Treasury for our future. Go back to the gold standard, get living wage jobs, industry that works for the family, and move on and hold these judges accountable, send them to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and see that justice is served. Praise God.
And that goes for you too, Mr. Barry Breslow.
I have a list of them that I am going to bring to the attention of my Attorney General. And I won't name names at this time because I'm not sure how that's all going to turn out. But I know this, as President of the United States, I can issue pardons for people who have been railroaded and who are innocent and who need to be on the opposite side doing the job of the president, serving the president and draining, I mean, really draining the swamp and taking it down to Guantanamo Bay for trials and punishment. Praise God.
Here, here.
I'm not playing, people. You listen to me, you're getting the real deal here. I'm not some Johnny come lately, and I know what I know, and that's why I'm here. And I have proven to myself and to others that I am qualified to be the President of the United States. Praise God.
You know, you've been doing this grassroots for at least the last couple of decades. I was looking at when we first connected last year. I was looking at some of your early work just to try and get some background. And he's been doing this and trying to get this movement going for decades, folks. And he's even despite all the opposition and the hurdles he's had to face, he's still doing it. And he knows what he knows because he's been there. He's one of us. He's one of the people. His mother was affected by the guardianship probate court corruption was murdered by the state as a result, in much the same way as Hillegas's mother was. And so this is a very personal fight for him, as well as it is for me, because of what happened to my mother and what happened to her because of this. So this is, you're looking at real, raw people, everyday people that have been affected by this, that are fighting back and doing something about it now.
That's exactly right. And like I said, tomorrow will be our second anniversary membership roll here in Florida. After that, I'm looking at Tallahassee, the capital. Possibly also in Tallahassee, they have an executive airport. They have a hangar there. We may be able to do an event. And then we have the science and airplane museums, which is very good. One is in Polk City, Florida. Another one is in Lakeland, Florida. The NASA people over in Titusville, which is Cape Canaveral, that's a little different. But some of the other museums, that's a good thing. And that's a good place for events to take place. And that's a good place for the media to show up. And I think as we continue down this path, that will happen. Also, I'm looking at an airplane, getting an airplane. That is important for this campaign. And we need to be able to travel pretty fluidly and fluently, so that we continue down this path and we create the energy for this nation and this world, especially as we see what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, and now in Israel and Palestine. You've got Iran, you've got Syria, and of course others. Egypt, not so much. Saudi Arabia, not so much. But all of them are tied into this Hezbollah terrorist organization called Hamas, and state-sponsored terrorism by Iran. And our freaking government is giving Iran money for different reasons. Why, I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything positive for America and for freedom. It looks like all it is doing is creating death in the lives of people.
What do you want to bet? It's a big old grift, and what they're actually doing is funding this this distraction within our own borders. Wouldn't be surprised, would you? Considering
yes, you're right. I mean, that's another issue. Yes, the problems that we could incur with all of this illegal immigration into our country. I do want to say this, that I was really surprised to see in the southern border of Israel this flimsy fence that they created. They had a bulldozer go right through it and put the opportunity for their people, Hamas, to come in and start slaughtering innocent victims. There was a music festival. They killed innocent young people, both girls and boys. You know, I'm not going to go into the details of it, the gore part, but, you know, it seems to me Israel had a responsibility to have, like what they do down in Guatemala. They have a wall, and they have guard posts on the top of the wall, guard houses. So if people come to the wall, they get them out. I mean, in other words, they're met with the military. Israel, I would have thought, would have done the same thing, especially with all the threats they had had since 2014, the same year that the Russians annexed Crimea from Ukraine. So I'm not sure what's going on here. We're giving money to these countries, but the money, what is it being spent on?
It's our tax dollars, people. You can't make this shit up. I'm pissed about that. You should be too.
Yeah, I mean, it's no good with regard to these tax dollars and what we see not being spent on, and the results. Somebody's pocketing money that should be used to prevent violence, and it's not happening.
Exactly. They're freaking lining their freaking pockets with it. These sons of bitches.
I hear you. So that's part of the fair deal to bring about accountability for change. President Kennedy, in my opinion, has spoken from the grave. I will finish the job, and I want the people to know that a vote for Dennis Ball for president, and working to get us on the ballot is a guarantee for the future generations, not only to survive, but to thrive. Because I know what to do. I'm like a skilled surgeon here with what I need to do to make this happen. Praise God.
Here, here. Praise
And that's
God.
why I'm still here in the game. God has told me what to do.
How can people help you? What can people do to help get you on the ballot? That's a good question. I think that might be relevant for everyone, though. What
All
can
right, there are 50 states, including Hawaii and Alaska. Some states require signatures to get on the ballot, others don't. Right now, I'm waiting to see for Florida. I called them the other day on a registration issue with regard to the Secretary of State of Elections. They had a notice that I sent in 2020. That notice has to be updated. They're supposed to contact me. I need to contact them. I have not heard from them of late, but I do have my notice in my computer, and it will go out. Actually, this library I'm at right now is perfect for it. And that is an example of what needs to happen. That registered letter is the beginning, and then in terms of knowing how many signatures on their form, this is a legal document for gatherers to get signatures and then turn into the Secretary of State's office to be certified to get on the ballot. That's what I'm waiting for here in Florida.
Right.
All 50 states are a little different. California has a huge quotient. I'm not sure we will get there necessarily. I don't know yet. But a write-in ballot does work too. And so the key right now is for me to get my name out in the public arena. My name being seen, my face. Robert Bettinger has done a marvelous job getting these new graphics out there. He did this because he said, I should be president. Others are saying, I should be president. Praise God. Let the people decide,
Here's
because we need a change.
few of these beautiful graphics for our viewers to look at.
There you go. In the White House, conducting business, doing the press sessions, making the choices, appointing the justices, holding them accountable. You can't have reform until you have accountability. Very important.
Yep. Accountability comes first.
Right. I want you to know, folks, I was going to be an attorney until I learned how corrupt it was. Not all attorneys are corrupt, but the system has got good people making bad decisions for money. And therein lies the problem. And so these state bar associations and all of these state Supreme Courts who run these state bar associations, they have to be put on notice. As well as the Attorney General must be busy, and we must clean house in this government. We have 75 government agencies that have 10,000 senior executive service managers that have to go. Some of them have to go to prison. They are so corrupt and evil, what they have done to our people. The harm they have caused is unimaginable and criminal. And yet there is no accountability. There will be with me, because I know what I'm doing here with all of this.
And everybody can count on me to expose corruption wherever it lies, because I will freaking take these bastards down by whatever means necessary under the law. And we're putting them on notice already. I already put them on notice at my last public comment at the school board meeting. So if you heard that, you already know what we're doing.
Yes, and I congratulate you on your efforts to do what needs to get done. As I said, think first what our country has become. Act and do what must be done.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
President Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Both of those sayings have merit in the lives of the American people. These illegals who are coming in illegally, there is a problem in their nation that can get fixed. I have created 8 political parties under the Ball Doctrine, creating peace and prosperity in every nation, which I want to talk about next time. Because the Ball Doctrine talks about building a middle class in every nation. Colonialism is dead. We need a change of thinking. That is why I am going to the United Nations. Very important. Our time is now. We must act. We cannot sit on our laurels. It is absolutely necessary. Praise God.
We have to act. We have to rise to the occasion and do what we must to hold these bad actors in positions of power that have abused their power to account. Because if we don't, then the culpability falls on us for being apathetic, and then we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Exactly. That's very good. You said way you said it. Okay, listen. I think we're about the end of the show today. I think the show went great. We have no callers, so that means that there's a reason for that today. And I believe that everything we needed to say got said, and we have more to say next time. And again, I congratulate you, Stephen, on everything you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. And don't forget to check out his bookstore and look into some of what he's got to offer, folks. He's got a lot of really good books there, and they give you a lot of good insight to what's going on in the current issues and how we can fix them. And they're easy read, not thick at all, but very for the average everyday layman's person. So let us outro, and we'll wrap it up, folks. Thank you for joining us. Join us next week on episode, or I believe it'll be episode 45, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 45. Yep.